Hello and welcome to video 3 of The Other Goose. In this video I will explain the worksheets and what I would like you to do. Now these hopefully will be on the home zone. If there's any problem downloading them, do send me a message and we can maybe email them directly to you. So the word of the week is on the first page and it is sad. So I'd like you to put in the meaning there. We talked about this on video 2. It means when you feel unhappy or full of sorrow. And then a synonym, something that means the same as sad, and an antonym, something that is the opposite. So see if you can fill those in there. You can use any of the words that we talked about on video 2, or if you want to use one of your own words, that's fantastic. Then I'd like you to write a sentence. And I actually think you could use one of the synonyms when you write a sentence. So see if you can write a sentence using the word sad or one of the synonyms that you've chosen. Right, the next page that we have, we're going to look at adjectives. So if you read this page, it explains exactly what an adjective is. It is a word that describes a noun. So, okay, what's a noun? Well, a noun is a naming word. It names a place, a person, a thing, or an idea. So you could have a word like sky, cloud, man, and people. They're all nouns. But also words like Hong Kong, Miss Jodie, Miss Maureen, they're also nouns because they're names of people or places. Now we call these proper nouns and we have to make sure that these start with a capital letter. So an adjective gives more description to the noun. So instead of just saying, I looked out of the window and saw the sky, you might say, I looked out of the window and saw blue skies. And instead of just saying Hong Kong is a city, an adjective that would make it more interesting by saying Hong Kong is a busy city. So adjectives often make a sentence sound much more interesting and they help you imagine the noun better. So it was a cold day, that's describing the day. Happy Miss Maureen sang a jolly tune. There's 2 adjectives there. Miss Maureen who is happy and a tune that's jolly. Sometimes we can actually put the adjective after the noun. In these cases, they're in front of the noun. But here we could say, the sky is blue. Or the joke Miss Jodie told was so funny, I couldn't stop laughing all day. They are still adjectives because we could have said the blue sky or the funny joke. But we've used the adjective after the noun. But it still means it's an adjective. They don't actually have to be side by side to the noun. So, bearing that in mind and have a read of it yourselves when you look at your worksheets, we have now got an exercise on filling in some blanks in the sentences. Now, these are sentences from the story, but you do not have to use the adjective from the story. You can use another one if you like. And you don't even have to use an adjective from our word bank. These are here just to give you some ideas. If you can think of some better words, then you go ahead and use those. But see if you can fill these in. I'll give you an example to start with. Katerina went to stare at the something car. Now in the story, the word was actually shiny. So where's shiny there? We could put in the word shiny. But you could change it if you want to. Maybe you could write fancy car or expensive car. Or maybe you could write sports car. That would also be a description. So have a think of what word you would like to fit in there. And let's just have a look at the word bank. We've got old, beautiful, silly, poor, dark, naughty, sad, brave, big, best, nicest, silly. Oh, got silly twice there, sorry. Bad, ugly, fresh, delicious, dirty, pink, narrow, wide, yellow, fluffy, tall, skinny, strong, weak, clever, serious, fast, slow, shiny, lazy, rich, young, sparkly, dull, or mean. So you can use those words or use one of your own. Then we have some punctuation practice, and I think you'll be familiar with this now. They're actually sentences from the story, but you don't have to use the exact punctuation they've used in the story because in this setting I haven't necessarily used them as speech. So bear that in mind. But do remember that every sentence needs to start with a capital letter and they need to end with a question mark, a full stop, or an exclamation mark. And don't forget, proper nouns do need to start with a capital letter. So have a look at that. Now we're going to do some more research. If you can remember last week, we did some research about penguins. Have a guess what I'm going to ask you to research this week. Yes, it is geese. So have a look on the internet. Again, YouTube is really fun because there's lots of videos on there. If you search goose facts for kids, there's some lovely videos, but I think my favourite one was one called Quack Honk, Learn All About Ducks and Geese. And that's got loads of facts there. Or you've got Geese Flying Together by the National Geographic. That was also very interesting. So then we have a quiz. We have 10 questions about geese. So it starts here. What do they look like? You can either write the words to describe them or you can draw a picture. Why do they have webbed feet? What's a female goose called? A male goose? A baby goose? So see if you can find out those answers. You may know some already, but some of them you might have to do some research. Now onto this page. This is our compare and contrast. Remember last week our character was called Cuddly Dudley and he was a penguin. And this week our character is Katerina the goose. So have a think about these two characters. They're both quite different, but in some ways they might be similar. So we're going to compare and contrast their characteristics and their personalities. So have a think about them first. See how you could describe Cuddly Dudley or how you could describe Katerina. And then have a look at the questions. So we have around the pictures of the two books, I have written some statements. For example, this character likes to be alone. So I'd like you to draw a line to connect which character that makes sense for. So this character likes to be alone. We've just read The Other Goose and we know that can't be Katerina, can we? Because she was desperate for a friend. But Cuddly Dudley, if you remember, he liked to play all by himself. So I would draw a line from this character likes to be alone. I would draw it to Cuddly Dudley. Now, when you've done that, I'd like you to write in a statement of your own. So see if you can think of something that applies to either that character or this one, or maybe applies to both of them. Okay. And then we have a story map. Now, we have done these before. Some of you will be familiar with these. This is where we write out what happened in the story, just in very sort of note form, in a very simple way, just to make sure you all understand the arc of the story or the message of the story. So write down some of the character names and the setting. I would say this is set in a town. We don't know the name of the town, but it's obviously a small town, and she lives on a pond, so you can maybe write that there. And what happens at the beginning of the story? Tell us about Katerina at the beginning. And then the middle, what happens in the middle of the story? You could talk maybe about what happens when she finds the guy who's robbed the bank. And then the end of the story. How does the story end? Very happily, doesn't it? With Katerina and Charlie and all their baby geese. Then we have a word search. So these are the words from the story. Are all hidden in here. See if you can have a go at doing that. And now I've got some handwriting practice. These are words from the story. So see if you can have a practice doing your handwriting on these words. We've got the other, goose, pond, and sad. And then let's have a look. What have I got next? We have got a dot to dot. So see if you can make that up. You can colour that one in when you've finished. We have got a help Katerina find her way to the pond. So you need to follow those threads and see which one will lead her to the pond. And of course, our favourite, we all love to do a maze, and mazes are really good for our fine motor skills and our pencil control, and they're also really good to get your brains thinking and working. And then finally, we have a beautiful colouring. This has got all patterns on, and you can go crazy and do whatever colours and things that you like of that goose. Now, don't forget, you do not have to do all this work. This is work that I've set for the reds, the blues, and the purples. So just have a look, see what you can manage. If you want to push yourself, especially if you're in the red group, then try and do as many of those sheets as you can. But even if you're in purple, I'm sure you'll still find something you can do there, such as the handwriting, the maze, or the colouring. But if you watch the videos, you will learn about the vocab as well. And in my next video, I will go through and I will see what answers I would have expected you guys to get. And we'll have a look at the answers to the word search and all that kind of thing. So tune back in for my next video. Thank you guys. I hope you can download these worksheets, and do let me know if there's any problem doing that. And also when you finish them, you can actually hand them in at school if you want to. Okay, thank you. See you on the next video. Bye-bye.